Hi everyone, it's Sarithkin and welcome to Leveling Up. Tonight I'm pleased to present Sir Kazimer, formerly of the Kingdom of Atenveld and adopted lovingly by the Kingdom of Antir. And he is going to teach us all about wooden shield construction and rawhide edging on the shields. Kaz it totally got me as a convert to wooden shields. All my shields are by Kaz. Kaz makes the best shields. So without further ado, I think I will bring up your PowerPoint and then we will get started. So let me do that. There it is. All right.
All right. So thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to enlighten people. So this first slide here, this is my first shield in 1991. The black round shield. I showed up to a tournament and some friends of mine were there, and my friend, who is now a Mistress Isabel the Mad, I had a black shield and she absconded with it. She's like, you can't fight with this. And she painted it up and it has a little critter on there, and he's got his own little shield, and I used to drive a Volkswagen Bug, so that is why the whole thing is on there. And then this other shield is made famous by Mistress Laurelin, who has done some stellar work, and we'll see in some of the later pictures, but this is one of my most beloved and treasured shields. This was made, I want to say 2014 is correct on this. I got into shield making back in 2010. So when I was a squire, my knight was leaving for Penzig. And he said, look, you got to have an art. When I get back from Penzig, you're going to have an art. And I was like, oh, okay, boss, I'll figure it out. And so I went into panic mode and I was like, well, I'm pretty okay with woodwork stuff. Maybe I can figure this shield making thing out. So I started scouring every resource I could find, and luckily I found some people that knew a lot about shield making. Sir Bartholomew Hightower aided me a lot in my early days as far as like process wise and things that he did and his approach to wood shield making. Also, Duke Cameron of Glen Aubin was a big influence as well, and several other people that were on the Armor Archive. But pretty much like I just saw what they were doing and just tried to figure it out, and through trial and error over the years, I think I've come to a pretty decent process. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys today.
Great. So, I just want to remind everybody that if you have questions during Kaz's presentation, please put them in the comments and I will do my best to have Kaz answer them. So,
okay. So this slide is highly appropriate, and we'll call out to my good friend Duke Arthur. Remember, safety third, kids. Safety goggles, or glasses rather, and nitrile gloves. So the nitrile gloves are to keep your hands protected and away from the epoxy. This stuff is really, really bad about getting everywhere. So it's water activated, and the Gorilla Glue will bubble up and spread and get on everything if you're not careful. If you get it on your hands, it's pretty difficult to get off. And God help you if you happen to get it on your eyebrows. I don't know people that did that. I'm not actually speaking from experience. So be forewarned. So this current slide shows some of the specific tools we'll need in the lamination part of this. So some,
I'm going to stop sharing so that you can show.
yeah,
Here we go.
so some fir strips, just basic wood fir strips. Yardstick, key element. 6-inch C clamps. Gorilla glue, like I talked about earlier. 2 bar clamps for the ends. So these bar clamps will actually go on the ends to hold the thing in place while we're setting everything on the form itself. This form I've made, so basically you can make a form to fit whatever kind of style and size is most appropriate for the shield that you want to make. The form that I have made, the ribs are made out of 2x6s, but it's cut with like a 2-inch rise. So you just make an arc for 2.5 or 2.5 inch rise. As far as the form and everything goes, like I said, it's just I have a 36-inch form, 24 by 36 that I use. I have a 30-inch form, and I have a really small form, a 24-inch form. They're all 24 inches wide. For me, I find that most shields that I make fall within those, give or take just a little bit. So if you have something that's a little larger than that, it can hang over the edges, but you just have to accommodate for it. So I am going to talk now about the most important piece. So most important piece in this whole making process is Baltic birch. I've been using Baltic birch for a number of years now. I've been doing this about 11 years. I haven't found hardly anything weight and durability that is better. My shields probably last 3 or 4 years of good use. I find that the Baltic birch that I like to purchase up here in the Pacific Northwest is from Crosscut. Not will have a crosscut near them. So what you want to look for is Baltic birch that is cabinet grade material. So if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and you pick up Baltic birch, they may have that, but Lowe's or Home Depot, they have a lot of voids in the plywood itself, so there'll be airspace. Cabinet grade is solid throughout. So there is a difference. So when you go to the big box stores, just be aware that the stuff you're getting could be problematic because it has those voids in it, and if you bend it over the form, it will crack. So your mileage will greatly vary. So I highly encourage everybody, good materials. So when I'm doing laminations, so I'll use 2 pieces of 6mm. So I'll go ahead and set this up on the form and show you guys exactly how we're working with all this. So I'm going to step away for a second. Maybe you can show some more shields. I'm going to
Oh, did I lose him?
just so I'm going to take the water hose and just like go over it and saturate it, and I'll be right back.
Okay,
So you
well,
just,
while Kaz goes and gets the water hose, I'm just going to share screen and show you his directions for prepping to shape after lamination. So I will bring that up. There we go. So those are the tools that you're going to need. And I guess while he's doing the hose, I could show some of his shields. Let's see if I can pull them up. Let's do the photos. All right, so this is, I think he told me, the first shield he ever made in 2010. And it's, you know, pretty cool, but his ones now are even better. So let me see if I can, there we go. There's his Tam shield, which is, you know, his beautiful angel shield. And then there's another beautiful Laurelin shield. She does really great work. And if you guys are watching, there's a current auction for a shield made by Kaz and Laurelin that I will plug at the end. And this is another Laurelin shield, one of Kaz's shields. I think this was a scroll shield. Another Laurelin shield. Laurelin makes the best shields. All right, he's back from the hose. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go.
all right. So we wet the surface of the shield down. And the reason we do that is because the Gorilla Glue epoxy is water activated. So what we'll do is just wipe off the excess. All you want to do is just get it wet. That's it. Like, doesn't have to be any kind of crazy amount of water on there. You don't have to soak it for a number of hours or anything like that. Just get it wet. You can wipe it down. Just get the excess off. Now what I'm going to do, it's a little bit hard to see, but I am going to take the epoxy and apply it to the shield, and I'm just going to lay out a grid. So when I'm laying the wood out, or excuse me, laying the glue out on the wood, I'm going to go back and forth about maybe a ½ inch.
So Bart is reminding you that you don't have your gloves on.
It's too late. We're running
Okay.
with the scissors. I'm sorry. Don't do what I do, kids.
Do as I say and not as I do.
That's it.
That is the biggest bottle of Gorilla Glue I've ever seen in my life. Is that just something you can get at the hardware store?
Yeah, usually I order it from Amazon or I get it from Home Depot or Lowe's. They usually carry it. They make several different sizes. A typical shield will probably use, I don't know, probably like 4 ounces.
Okay, so you're doing the grid pattern. Are the stripes of glue about 1 inch apart, or how far apart?
So I usually do a ½ inch. And when I'm laying the glue out for the grid, you want to be sure that when you're doing this, you're not squeezing a whole bunch of glue out. You're not trying to go crazy with glue. You're just trying to lay out a thin line and be consistent.
Cool.
And so a lot of times the glue itself will spread once we put the other piece on it. And since it's water activated epoxy, it's going to spread out, foam up, and bind to the 2 pieces of wood. And while it is still setting, we're going to start the forming process. So I don't use hot water or anything like that. Don't use steam. I literally just use manual pressure via the clamps.
So someone wants to
And
know
once
if you could roll the Gorilla Glue on with a paint roller.
you could, I haven't done that. My fear is that it gets a little messy and it's super tacky. But yes, I believe you could. I just don't. I lay, like I said, I lay all this out because it's going to spread out on its own. Just the nature of epoxy. You could, they actually make, I believe they make wood glue. It's kind of looks kind of like a spatula that you can use. But any roller or anything like that, it's probably going to be single use. Like you're going to be a one and done with that thing. So this is just my way. It's not the only way. There may be some people that have better suggestions and be at liberty to try, and please share any results that you get. If you think that you have something better and you get better results, totally open to that.
So you're not afraid of the glue drying while you're doing this?
It takes a little bit to dry. I'm doing this fairly quick. I know it may not seem quick to everybody. One of the big things you want to do is be very careful when you get to the edge. If you get probably within a little bit for good measure. How about that? If you have anything to kind of go off on with the grid, you can kind of put a little bit on there to make up. I was very careful, no glue on my hands part. All right, next part. We take the next board that we're going to use. We line it up. Be really careful. This is easy for the glue to come out and get on you. Gonna try this at home, kids. Be sure wearing gloves. What I do now with the yardstick, I measure, find the halfway point on my top piece that I squared up to the bottom piece, and mark the halfway. The reason is I want that halfway mark to line up with the center point of the form. So these ribs that I made, the arc, I want that center point to line up. So I just try to get that piece lined up on both ends. So I find it there, I find it on this end, everything lined up. Now I use the bar clamp. I take the bar clamp and I attach to the form so that it holds the two pieces in place. This is super exciting, super riveting, I'm sure. I feel like we need intermission music or something.
I have a question. Are you making a square shield, or if you're going to make a heater, would you have cut the shape already, or do you cut the shape after you form it?
I cut the shape after I form the blank. And the reason I do that is just sometimes the shield or the shield blank itself will shift a little bit or something like that, or maybe you'll find an irregularity in it. And so like if you cut it after you preform the blank, you'll know what your working surface is like, or what your material will look like at the end. So you want to snug down the two bark nip ends. So they're good and tight. And then you use the fur strips we were talking about, just the spare fur strips. Put them on the edge, both sides. So what we're going to do at this point.
Can I ask you one more question?
Oh,
When you went
that's
out to
the way.
when you went out to the hose, did you wet both pieces of the birch or just the bottom one?
Yeah, both front and back of both pieces.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll use the C-clamps, and I'm going to line the C-clamps up with the ribs on the form, and I will put them in place. I don't tighten them down yet. Sometimes you may have to give them a little love. You want to position the C-clamp so that it is even with the bottom and the top. You kind of want to get in about the middle of the board itself. Do the same thing on this side. Don't put all of them on one side. Go and put one or two on one side, and then go put one or two on the other side. That way you're not fighting the board to get the clamps on. Because at first, it's going to be really difficult because you have a lot of resistance. You may have too much on there. So might have to ease up a little bit.
So you're just tightening so that it stays.
So now I have clamp on each side there. I'll put a clamp on the other side so that this is going to apply pressure across this strip evenly on both sides.
Bart would like to know where you found your clamps.
Home Depot. I love these clamps. It has a very large handle, makes things a lot easier to manage. These are, I think, $22 a piece. They're a little on the pricey side, but well worth it. It just makes it super easy to manage. Now, the thing that gets difficult is when you go to tighten these things down, you have to tighten them a little bit at a time, because if you tighten one too much, not another, it will, one of them will have so much tension, it'll ease off on another one, the other clamp will fall off. So it's kind of like tighten a little bit, tighten one next to it, tighten the one next to it. So you're just trying to maintain even pressure across all of them. So you want to just get to where it bites. See how easy that one was? That one's pretty easy. There's no tension on it because the other two are placed.
Someone asked if you've ever made a concave round, and I can answer for them that it's no. Right?
Actually, yes, I have.
You have? Okay.
concave,
It's not for me.
convex. Yeah, I have made one. I can't recall who I made it for right now. Who did I make that for? Actually, I think Mr. Hightower, Bartholomew, turned me on to how to do that. Uh, I have made one. Gosh, I can't remember who that was for either. I've made one of those. I've made one for these. I actually was thinking about doing a formed round shield like you're talking about, and doing it with a some rawhide scales on top. Just kind of decorate, kind of something somewhat Scythian or early. So.
So do you just go right away and start tightening them down a little bit equally? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I like these handles, because it makes it way easier to manage. The other thing that you're gonna do, let me hook this thing up on there. Sandbag, right in the middle, 50 pounds. That keeps pressure in the middle, so we're maintaining outside force and we have pressure downward force in the middle. This is especially important if you're going to do a center grip shield or anything like that. We want to be sure there is pressure evenly distributed across the whole of the shield. Like. And now there's just a whole lot of tightening. So if anybody has additional questions, now is the time.
I could show another one of the PowerPoint slides.
That's cool.
Okay.
Can we talk or something, or like we can do a music montage, or I can sing a little ditty. I would recommend the PowerPoint.
I would like to hear my posse's on Broadway, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
That's more of a spinning accompaniment or via meta. Oh, see, this thing's gonna be half. Yep.
So if you're making a shield without a curve, do you need any sort of, or would you just have a table, or I mean, what would you do?
So if I'm making just a flat shield, so like if I'm doing a round shield or maybe doing like a rectangle or just anything flat, I won't even involve any of this process at all, right? You're just going to go down to the other pieces in the PowerPoint as far as like prepping it. And what I do, I usually cut it out to the size. I get the blank, I cut it out. A lot of times I will try to get the wood and just kind of examine it and just make sure there's no irregularities in it, no knots, no plugs or anything like that. And I usually try to align it to the best manner in accordance with the shape. So I usually take it and I cut it out. And if I'm going to make a center grip, I will mark the hole, cut the shield out. And what I do, if you want a shield, say 20 by 30, you're going to cut the length and width an inch shy. The reason being is the edging I do with the rope and rawhide will take up an inch. So it takes a ½ inch on each side of their backs. So to account for that, you cut it an inch smaller than what you want. So you would cut a 19 by 29. So then what I'll do is I'll mark where I want the center boss to go based on the shape and what the person wants. And then I will take and mark that, and I use a spade bit. So a spade bit is like this. And I just drill out the center after marking the hole. And I will use a jigsaw to cut out the hole for the center boss. So typically most center bosses are 5.5 to 6 inches. Sometimes they are bigger, but most everything is 5.5 to 6 inches for the inside diameter of the hole. So that's what I use primarily on most everything. So after I cut the hole out, I will take a hand rasp and I will use a hand wood rasp to smooth and bevel the center boss hole. And then I'll take some a sanding block like this. Just a sanding block that you would get like Home Depot or Lowe's, and smooth out the wood. Make sure that you get everything nice and evenly spaced, and like you have a good bevel, because that hand is going to be manipulating the shield, right? And so you don't want any kind of like jagged edge as far as like your cuts. If you've gotten a little bit off or anything like that, you want to be sure that it's a smooth inside diameter. So,
someone else is asking if there are any additional problems that sometimes you have to troubleshoot when you're clamping everything down.
Yeah, usually, I mean, this can be a beast to get everything on the form. And like sometimes you'll have to kind of wrestle with the whole thing to get it in place. And it's just, you kind of have to do it by feel. And sometimes you have to wrestle with it, and sometimes it all goes smooth, and right now it's not. So trying to work through that. A lot of times when you're holding the clamps, if you will hold the clamps in the crook of the clamp itself and apply pressure, it'll stay in place. And you just want to tighten it down enough so that it meets the form. You don't have to crush it. You don't have to crush the edge. Just get it to a good tight spot so it follows the shape. And that's enough. So once you get it to a spot, don't over tighten it. Just.
So someone is asking, why do you think Gorilla Glue is superior over like a carpenter's wood glue?
I don't. That's just what I use. That's what I've had the most success with. Some people, I believe, use Titebond. Titebond makes really great glue. I know Elmer's also has great glue. It's just, I have the best results from Gorilla Glue. I will repeat myself. This is my process over 11 years. This is what works for me. If there's a better way, have at it, man. Like, and if you get great results, please share with me. Totally, like I said, totally open. But I have found that this gives the most consistent results. So I use 5 on the side. So I usually get the 3 large clamps in place. And then I use 2 regular clamps. Kind of get the rest of the way. This side is about done. So the other side is the, there. So we'll see. Any other questions? Or?
Yeah, someone's asking whether you use the foaming Gorilla Glue or the Gorilla Wood Glue.
I use the foaming. So when I say epoxy, yeah, the foaming Gorilla Glue.
And does it matter when you place the weight on the middle of the shield?
I would get all of the clamps or a majority of the clamps in place, at least the big 3 on each side and the bar clamps. So
And then somebody else asks if you ever have any issues with clamp slippages.
Yes, sometimes, like I said, clamps will slip. It is just kind of, you have to apply pressure and kind of work them slowly. If they're slipping, like I said, you can apply pressure at the yoke, the upper yoke, and that a lot of times will keep it from slipping.
Do you add extra? Do you add extra? Do you add extra C clamps to the ends too?
No. So I am going to take off the end piece, the end clamps, actually, when I get all the sides done. So this is a chore. It's a pretty party workout, cranking down on all these things. That's why I like these big clamps with the handles on them. It makes it a little easier. That's down. Got a little space on this one. That's down. That's pretty good.
So when you say you had a little space on that, where was the space? Like, what are you looking for?
Just the gap between the wood and the rib on the form. Also, one of the super nice things about these, they have a quick release on them, so that is helpful. Okay, all right, kids. Now we take the bar clamps off on the end. The bar clamps were just there to hold the blank while we start everything. We want to remove them off because it kind of, if you leave them on there, sometimes they'll torque the blank, and the blank will kind of have a little kind of wave to it a little bit. Like it'll be off on the ends. And if you're doing, I do a lot of teardrops, things like that, and those kind of shields, you don't necessarily want like anything like that on your blank. So that is the lamination piece. So this is how I would set up a blank if I'm going to laminate. At this point, typically I let it sit for, depending on what temperature you're in, what part of the country you're in, it could vary. I let it sit for anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. I find consistent results. You know, based on where you're at in the country, humidity could affect it. Temperature affects it. You know, there's a lot of variables that come into play. Where I'm at currently in Oregon, 6 to 8 hours seems to work fine for me. So at that point, we can take all the clamps off. So if everybody wants to go to dinner, we'll be back in. I'm kidding.
I have a question for you. If you're not in Oregon and you're trying to figure out how long it was going to take you, how would you know it's too early?
So what you can do is sometimes you'll see on the edge, the Gorilla Glue will leak out. I have done a pretty okay job with it not by the way I laid the glue out. And but sometimes some of the glue will leak out, and you can feel how hard or tacky it is. And if it's still tacky and pliable, you don't want to take it off the form. If the glue has set up and is really not pliable at all, it has some strength to it, you can get that. Like I said, 8 hours is a good mark.
Is there any issue if you leave it on too long? Can you leave it on like for a day or two?
I usually leave it on a day. I don't think that that will hurt it. I wouldn't leave it on for more than a day because the board might crack.
Um,
I have left some on more than a day, and it hasn't. But I'm just saying, like, you would probably want to take it off.
how long is the longest it's ever taken for you to have something set up?
Usually, when I first started doing them, I would leave them for 12 hours. Now I leave them probably 6 hours. So I would leave something overnight and then take it off in the morning before work or something. It'd be fine. All right. Well, that is the lamination piece of the phase. So this is how you would use 2 pieces of 6mm to form and shape a blank. After this blank is cured, you can take it off this form, and then we'll go to the next piece in the process. So if we want to move ahead with the, unless anybody else has any questions.
I think I asked all the questions. Do you want me to go to the next slide so we can show them the tools to, yeah. Okay.
Remember, kids, hydrate.
All right.
Oh, and I apologize, I'm in mundanes. My lady would probably knife me for wearing FDA clothes, and anything nice that I got stain or glue or grease on. So
you're wearing an austere shirt. I think that counts.
Right. Shop smart, shop the seer. So the next piece, we're going to talk about, like, what do we do with the blanket once we get it off? So you're either going to have a laminated blank, a curved blank, or you're going to have a flat piece of wood. Typically, 2 pieces of 6 millimeter is roughly half inch, just shy of half inch. So when you go and you buy cabinet grade birch, you will want, if you're doing a flat shield, you'll want 12 millimeter. If you're doing like a round shield or something along those lines. So like, I have a round shield here. It's 12 millimeter. So when I do any kind of flat shield or anything like that, that's what I use. I don't use anything thicker than that. In fact, I think that you probably get away with something even a little bit lighter than that. But for what we do, I believe 12 millimeter for a flat shield, like I said, is pretty equivalent to half inch, just shy of half an inch, is a very good thickness. So as far as prepping a blank, after we take it off, we're going to cut it at this point. So these are some of the tools that I use in the last slide. I'll take a ruler compass. So I have a ruler compass. I use that thing a ton. Because if you're doing a curved shield, that will help you to do an arc and maintain it over a curve. I use just a regular compass to do the holes for my center boxes. I talked about an orbital sander and the hand rasp. The hand rasp is used to rasp the hole so that you get an even surface, a smooth surface for inside. And then I have the sanding. So I will sand the inside of that hole for the boss. So at this point, after you have that shape cut out to whatever you want, a lot of times I'll try to make templates for the shields I make for people. Or I ask for templates from folks because I'm like, a lot of us use shields that we're more accustomed to, shall we say. We have our particular things or styles of shields or anything. So for somebody like me, when someone comes to me and says, hey, I want X thing, blah, 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 and it's like this, and it has this exact curve, and I want, like, send a template. Just send a template. So as far as templates go, you can make them out of butcher paper, you can make them out of chipboard. I've seen people make them out of posters. Any kind of thing that you can do to alleviate having to make the same exact shape and get it perfect every time. If you just lay one template out and you can replicate it again, that saves you time in the long run. So highly recommend templates. After you cut the thing out, and as far as cutting things out, you want to use a jigsaw with an appropriate saw blade. Jigsaw blades come in a lot of different styles. You want something that has an extra fine cutting edge to it. So when you go to like Home Depot or Lowe's, you'll want to look for something with a fine edge for wood specifically. So they make stuff with metal and plastics and stuff like that. You want to look specifically for a wood jigsaw blade with a fine edge cutting surface. So once you get it cut out, you'll have something along these lines. So this is a shield that I cut out just recently. This is going to be for Heath Lawson. He's ordered a teardrop. So I just cut the shape out And I use the orbital sander to sand the front and the back smooth. So I'll hit it with a 120 grit to get the majority of everything off. So I'll do the edges and I'll just knock the burr off the edge. So there's no splinters or anything. So I'll go around the edge itself and then I'll go over the main surface, front and back, and get it all smooth with 120. And then I'll take 220 to a fine surface on the back. Because the front, we're going to put canvas on. So you'll use a 220 to finish up sanding the back, and then you'll just use a stain, whatever stain you like. I use a Varathane wood stain. So you just apply that. You just get like a foam brush and just paint the wood stain on, wipe it off. After it soaks in really good, let it dry a little bit, and put another little bit of stain on there so you get a good finish. Totally preference, right? So then the next part is you'll want to apply canvas to the front. I use painter's drop cloth from Home Depot, 10 ounce. I know a lot of people use linen, some people use a lot of different things. I've been using this for years and years. It's fairly inexpensive, you get quite a bit. Use the 10 ounce weight. I take it and I wash it and I iron it to get out any wrinkles. And then I will use spray adhesive to apply it. This is my spray adhesive of choice. It is Loctite 200. Loctite 200 is made specifically for fabrics and things of that nature. Right now, for some odd reason, there is a shortage of aerosols. It's kind of hard to find. Whatever spray adhesive you use, be sure that you read on there and make sure that you can use it on fabrics. So I'll spray the fabric down and I'll spray the wood face down that I'm going to apply it to. So once I have coated both the wood face and the fabric itself, apply the fabric, and I will try to basically put some pressure on either side. So when I say that, you're going to have a surface something like this. That look familiar, Spanish Judy?
Yeah, one of the things people ask me all the time is when you're putting canvas on a center mount shield, what you do with the hole. Like, do you cut it out first? Do you cut it out after? What do you do with the canvas?
I cut it out after. So I'll tug on the sides first and get all of this really taut over across the edge so that it is tugged down really good and snug across the surface. Say we had a hole underneath here. What I'll do is the canvas will be taut over the hole, and I will just apply pressure with my hand so that that cutout that's there will have pressure just like on the sides. And then I will cut that out first. So when I'm applying the adhesive, it's important to put a really heavy layer on the edges. So if you have a center cutout, you'll want to apply a lot of adhesive in the circle, on the outside of the circle, right around it. Not necessarily in the hole for your hand, the inside diameter, you don't necessarily want to get that all nasty and sticky, but just on the outside of it, around it. So we'll cover the whole thing and then stretch it out on the outsides. And then where the hole is for the center boss, you apply pressure so it sucks the fabric down and in where the whole void is. And then you'll cut that out. And I just use just a box cutter, a simple straight edge blade, and I will trim it out. So that will get us to prepping the shield. So you might have any questions as far as that's concerned?
I think I've covered most of the questions so far. If something else comes up, I'll shoot it to you.
Okay, so I'm going to use Mr. Spin's shield to demonstrate the next piece of, to do the rope edging and stuff. So I'm going to show everybody how we do that piece. So when I'm doing all of this, I am just going to trim off the edge.
Fia would like you to move her cup, please.
It's not hers, that was fun. So I will trim this. Apparently I need to change the blade out on this.
Is that coming to me for painting?
It is.
All right, cool.
It is indeed.
So I don't know if she's asking about the canvas or the whole shield, but the question is there any maintenance on it after it is made that may differ by environment, humidity, or heat?
Typically, once I have set the canvas up on it, really the maintenance of the shield is maintained by the prep for the painting. And that is outside my purview.
I'll just say, once you paint it, and if you paint it right with the gesso and everything, I never have any problem with fabric bubbles.
Yeah, so the one thing I will say is when you have a shield completed and you have a rawhide edge, after we do all the stitching and get everything set and have it finished, if you leave it outside in the weather and it gets wet, you can expect the rawhide to soften up. So at that point, you'll want to get some clamps and just clamp it back down like we're going to do here in just the next few minutes. So at this point, what we do is we'll use a heat gun. And I stole the heat gun, the glue gun idea from Richard
Ulfgar?
No, Magnus.
Magnus.
Different. So he was the one that turned me on to this idea. So use a hot glue gun. And what you'll do is you'll take the rope. Can everybody see the edge of the shield right here? So you'll take the rope, and what I do is the start, I usually put at a halfway mark on one of the, this is a square, so.
One of the sides.
One of the sides. So, I will take the rope, and if you look, the 1/2 inch material that we're using and the 1/2 inch rope line up pretty good. So you'll use the hot glue gun to lay down a bead of hot glue, and then you will just glue the rope down. Well, what I use to glue the rope down, as I'm doing it, trying not to get in front of the camera, but I've kind of set this up in an awkward spot.
I'm kind of having tricep envy.
I will take the rope and set it. It'll be a lot easier because the hot glue will be there. I'll use 1-inch clamps to hold it in place as I glue it down. I'll just put a little bit at a time, use a little glue at a time, take 1-inch clamp, put it down, and I usually space them out probably about a hand space or a fist space between, and just glue it all the way around. So after we get it glued all the way around, we're going to use a lot of these. I use a ton. I have probably 300 or so 1-inch clamps. I use these a lot. You'll just glue the rope to the edge of the shield. So at that point, once the rope is all set up and it's glued down all the way around, what you're going to do, you let that set pretty good. So it only takes a couple minutes. So you can do like a couple of inches, hot glue it down, put a clamp or two, do maybe 8 inches or a foot at a time, let it sit, put some more rope, maybe go around the corner, do whatever, lay down another bead of glue, put the rope on the edge, and just follow the whole shield edge around. If it's curved, it gets a little tricky. As you're just, like if you're doing a teardrop or a heater or something like that, if you go around the corner, just be sure that you get a good bead of glue around the corner as well. And you keep the rope taut so that it makes contact with the edge of the shield the whole way around. So you'll apply the rope all the way around the shield. And what I like to do afterwards is I will take and put a bead around the back edge where the little, there'll be a little like crevice between the rope and the wood material itself. And you just put a little fine bead all the way around. And so that kind of assists in keeping the rope in place as well. You have a bead on the edge, and you do the back and the front, and glue it all secure. And then at that point, you're going to go on to the rawhide. So this is what we've all been waiting for, right?
Yeah. So I know from experience
so
that
rawhide edge.
yeah, I know the hot glue dries really fast. How long do you give the rope to set?
Oh, yeah, the hot glue dries really quick. Like I said, you can do like 8 or 12 inches at a time and just like lay a bead of glue down the edge and put the rope on top of it and just put the 1-inch clamps to hold the rope. So if the glue isn't set yet, the 1-inch clamp will hold it in place, and maybe give it a minute and then do another couple of inches and then give it a minute. And you can take the 1-inch clamps off as you trail and just like kind of move them from the front to the back and just leapfrog over. But it probably takes like a minute or so. The hot glue actually sets up really pretty quick. Any other questions? Okay, so when you get to the point that you have the rope edge all the way around, what you'll want to do is prep your rawhide. So what I do, and it's cost effective for me because I make a lot of shields. It may not be cost effective for a person that's going to do this process and make one shield. So I buy a whole side of rawhide. When I buy a whole side of rawhide, typically it is $165 from Weaver Leather Supply. I have compiled, I should say we, Meta helped me. We compiled a list of links. Typically, a side of rawhide is $165. I will get maybe 10 or so strips out of it. So I'll get a strip and I cut a 3-inch strip out. So when I cut the strips out, what I do is I will take rawhide, it comes rolled up when they mail it out to you. I go and I put it in the bathtub and I soak it for several hours so it's good and pliable. And then at that point, I start cutting it into 3-inch strips. So I used to cut it out just with rawhide dry, and that's pretty tough. I use some shears from Home Depot. So I want to say these are Vice shears, but they're just like really pretty robust shears. Just get them from Home Depot or Lowe's and mark a 3-inch strip out, and then I cut my strips out. What I do when I get the sides is I try to set aside an afternoon to do nothing but cut rawhide strips out. And I cut my whole side up all at once, because that way I can cuss it, get it all done, and just have the strips ready as I make shields. I just set them all aside. So I have a lot of 3-inch strips. So I will get a 3-inch strip and I will soak it. When you soak it, it only takes a couple of hours for the water to make it good and pliable. But at that point, you'll take it, and what you're going to do is 3-inch strip works. This size works for me. What it allows me is to cover up the rope edge and allows me enough room when you kind of make like a U channel. You're kind of tacoing the edge, right? You just make it even, and then you're going to place it on the edge. And it will allow you, funny enough, when you put the 1-inch clamp on, can I get on the camera? There.
There you go.
a 1-inch clamp will go over the rope onto the shield edge and hold the rawhide down in place and just have just enough so that the clamp comes down right at, so the rawhide basically is at the edge of the clamp. So that's why I use 3 inches. I cut 3-inch strips for that very reason. So when you're putting it on, and it's going to look a little different on this because we don't have rope on here.
Should I show your PowerPoint slide that shows it all clamped down?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's going to look something like that. So this is what it looks like when you put the rawhide on the shield. So when I say go and buy a bazillion clamps, go and buy a bazillion 1-inch clamps because you will probably need, there's probably 100 or so typically on a shield. And I just butt them up against each other. So it allows me 1-inch spacing all around the shield, and it kind of bites into the shield a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can see on a finished shield that here I have this. You can use this. Sorry, I keep leaving the camera frame, and
that's okay.
So the edge, see how you can see the clamp marks? They leave kind of perfect spacing, and then you're going to allow the rawhide to dry. The rawhide drying is what takes a lot of time. So sometimes that could take a whole day. Sometimes it could take 2 days. So I would, once you get everything clamped down, like the picture that we had earlier, with all the clamps in place, once you get everything clamped down, you let it sit, and then probably the next day, I will go and take every other clamp off. And so I'll let it sit for and dry some more, and then the next day I will start taking all the clamps off, but leaving just a few. And when I say leaving a few, I will have probably 1 clamp, and then I'll have a space for like 5 that I take off, and then another clamp and 5, and another clamp and 5. So it can dry, but you want to keep some clamps on so that when you go to sew it, stitched all down, it remains in place. Now you can take all the clamps off, and it will, the rawhide will keep that shape pretty damn good. But it will move when you start to stitch it. So you want to keep the clamps on so you have minimal movement.
So can I take you back for a second? Because one, the clamps make this really cool like pie crust edge that I actually think is quite pretty. But one of the
That's a great description.
One of the things you do very, very well with your rawhide edging that a lot of people haven't mastered is you do the corners really well, and you do the seam where it ends really well. Can you talk about that?
So, sorry, I left that out. So there are certain shields, like a heater shield, when you have a corner, the rawhide won't lay down exactly perfect. So you have to fold one piece up underneath the other. So actually, since I have a heater here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this particular corner, can we?
Yep. Perfect.
Good? Perfect. So I'm not sure if you can see, I have folded that corner up underneath and just folded it over. and I will put a clamp on that to keep it folded down.
You have the neatest corners I've ever seen.
The secret to the corners, Irwin clamps. So,
And is there a trick to when you end the rawhide to keeping it nice? Because a lot of people don't do that well either.
what do you mean in?
Like, you know, like the rawhide isn't going to be seamless. There's like an end. Like that will overlap with the beginning.
Yeah, so depending on the size of the shield and the rawhide that I'm working with, sometimes I'll have to use two pieces, and sometimes I will have to lay one in and I'll overlap it. So what I try to do is, if I have to overlap an end or any spot that the rawhide meets, I will have it overlap by just over an inch. So our 1-inch clamps are what we're using to make our pie crust. Thank you. This is great. So what we do is you'll overlap it just a little bit more than an inch, and you'll put the clamp over both pieces where it meets. That's what I do.
It is very effective. I think that that is a really good trick for all of you people out there that are going to make shields. Listen to the bazillion clamp advice.
Yeah, yeah. If you think you can get away with just a couple, you can't. Find them on sale, buy them all. You can buy them all now because I have mine.
So when you go to stitch it on, do you drill the holes?
Yes. So at the point that we start taking the clamps off, right? And so when I say, let me see if I can do this without screwing up the camera angle too much. Can you guys see the shield pretty okay here?
I can see it perfectly.
If I stand here and are we good? All right.
I can't see the top edge anymore. There again. Yeah.
So if I hold it up this way, that's fine.
Yeah.
So when I say we want to leave some clamps on so the rawhide doesn't move, this is the kind of spacing I use. So I'll have, maybe a foot, maybe a little more, a little less. And when I start saddle stitching the rawhide down, what I do is I will typically drill 6 holes or so, and then I will stitch those 6 holes up, and then I will drill 6 more. You don't want to take this advice to heart. This is very important. You don't want to drill all your holes and then stitch everything up. Because if you drill everything and then you start stitching, your holes are going to be off. You're going to pull your hair out trying to line the holes up with your rawhide and your wood, because they're not going to be there anymore. So drill, stitch, drill, stitch. And like I said, just do 6 or 8 and drill them out, stitch them up, drill them out, stitch them up. So when I am stitching, I use artificial sinew. So I put that in our tools link. I usually just get it off Amazon. You can get a big spool of it, but I will use some saddle stitching needles that are blunted, and I will put it through the holes.
What size drill bit do you use?
Oh, I put that in there in the notes, a 9/64 drill bit. So I will just use a saddle stitch to go around the shield and pull it taut every time that I do any of these. I'll just go and be sure that it's all taut.
Okay, so your hands are just out of the screen.
Oh, sorry.
So you need to go toward
do
the other way. Go the other way.
Yeah,
Further out.
Here, I got kind of caught up here. So put this through and do it again. That is everything, and that's what I'm trying to do this. All right. So what we want to do is get this so that it's basically untwisted here. I got a piece.
So how long is that piece of sinew you're using? Are you going to try to have a piece that's long enough to go all the way around?
Yeah, so what I do is I usually pull out several arm lengths based on about what size of the shield, because I've been doing it a while. I kind of know, like, oh, well, that's 30 inches long. That's usually about 12 arm lengths of sinew. So I've kind of just over time been able to eyeball a shape and like, oh, well, I'm going to use this. So any shield that's typically 24 by 36, that's usually probably like 12 to 13 arm lengths. So you can kind of pull out a little more, a little less each time, but it's kind of hard because I didn't think about this, but the lengths of sinew are really long, so to pull them taut, I gotta go out of camera shot. So what you're gonna do, like I said, you're going to take the sinew and the piece goes through the top, the other piece goes through the bottom. You're just going to pull the thread through, pull it taut. Not pull the shield off. Tighten it up. So as you do that, you're going to have the sinew come through, just lace through back and forth. So this piece and this piece are just back and forth, saddle stitch through the whole thing. So I will do that the whole way around. And like I said, I try to only do so many holes at a time. And I'll stitch up to that. I'll take my clamp off and I'll do another set. And I leave the clamps on so that kind of keeps the rawhide from moving on them. Because that's one of the concerns. So you kind of want to have some kind of resistance as you're stitching this all.
So let's say I'm a dumbass and I don't pull enough sinew for the shield I'm stitching. What's the best way to put in some more? Like what kind of knot do you use?
Same kind of thing. You will get to, say you come up short and you probably need a couple more feet. You'll tie it off in the back, and I just use a fisherman's knot in the back. And where the hole where it stopped, you'll tie it backwards, right? You'll tie your fisherman's knot up, not down. And the hole where you stop, you'll thread through there And so you'll thread your sinew out till you have 2 even lengths, and then you'll start your stitching from that hole, just like you did from the start.
Perfect. So I'm gonna bring up your PowerPoint again so people can see the list. Okay. So I'll go back a slide. There you guys see. So and then that's the 9/64 drill bit. And then I'll bring up your links.
Yeah, and when you're placing the holes, if you can look, see where the spacing is for where the clamps left marks. I drill the holes towards the upper end of where the mark is, and just the clamp marks actually provide you even spacing.
That's genius. So I just want to emphasize to the people that are watching, like Kaz's shield edging is the best I have ever seen. It lasts forever. It doesn't unravel. So what he's saying, listen to it.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people that have helped me along the way, and I do things slightly different than they do. I'm not saying my way is the only way, but I'm saying it works pretty okay for me.
I'm saying it's the best way. All right. Well, I don't see any.
Are there any other questions for me?
Yeah, I don't see any questions. Should we look at the rest of the shield gallery and then see if anybody has any questions while we're looking at all the pretty stuff?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's where we left off. Another really pretty laurel and shield.
That's I can't remember who actually did the painting, but that's Sir Valeric in Cailloux. That's his shield.
That's pretty too.
Maybe Duke Tamaki's lady.
She does amazing
I
stuff.
can't. I heard. I'm so sorry. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head.
I think Jadwiga did this one.
That's beautiful. I think that was Einar Squire.
Yeah, Jadwiga.
Yeah. That's one of the Sporty King shields.
It's a Laurelin.
That's Laurelin. I think that was the last one. There. That's the first prize shield for Sporty Kings that.
Oh no, this is the one we did for Kjartan when he was king.
Oh no! Oh yeah, there's the first Sporty King shield that Dawn and Mark have, or Octa and Choxy have, is very similar because it has that checky background. And yeah, sorry.
So we do have a question. Do you have any problems putting a flat shield boss on a curved shield?
Typically, what you want to do is find someone that can bend that rim out a little bit. Sometimes it is difficult to do. It just kind of depends, because like there's a ton of bosses made of different materials. A lot of times if you see these, like typically like something like this boss that's on this shield right here, it has these little, what you call leaves or whatever. You can kind of bend those down a little bit to shape it to the curve. So something like that, or the one before it that has, see how it has the scallops? You can kind of bend those a little bit easier than you can something with a ring. Spin stuff.
And
That's
stuff.
all done by Rifkin, wasn't it?
Yep.
There's Savrix. You did that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's Savrix County.
That's amazing. That's my night.
That's your night.
And Rifkin did that. That's
One of my
Rifkin's
shields. Kit's shield.
his shield.
My shield.
Yep.
Oh. Georgie's shield.
That's Otar's.
It's a Roman one I did for a prize or a auction.
Right.
That's yours. That hasn't been used yet.
Mari's. Yay.
So I just like Kaz's shields are so great to make functional, practical, disposable art. So I would encourage you, if you decide to, try this shield stuff for yourself, to think about making some functional, practical, disposable art and making the list field look incredible.
That shield was, Saverick helped me make that lease for Lisa and Barrett. And that was an amazing piece of work. And I couldn't have done it without Saverick. And his amazing wood shop that is not available to us right now.
And Duchess Nisa painted that one, right? Or Her Royal Highness Nisa.
I'm not sure who painted that. I know she paints this. That was for one of the auctions, I believe. But I know that there was, I think that there were several artists that participated in that. There's.
I'm pretty sure it was Nisa. I think I was at their house when she was painting it.
It could have been.
So.
But I remember specifically there were a couple of people involved in that. Wasn't that the auction to raise money for the brand?
I don't remember.
Surgery or something, maybe? I can't recall.
I will stop sharing. Let me see. I don't see any more questions. Somebody asked if I would share the PowerPoint, and I will do that. I will try to put it in the comments, and if I can't do that, I will put it in a post and I will link it.
And if anyone has any questions or anything like that, I would be happy to share any and all knowledge and talk shield making. I was very lucky. Like I said, when my knight left for Penza, he's like, when I come back, you're gonna have an art. And I was very blessed to find some people that were willing to make time for me back then. And my gift back to those people is doing that for other people. So please feel free to reach out with any questions.
And you're Robert Jemerson on Facebook.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, I don't see any questions. I really appreciate it. I know my husband is going to really appreciate you explaining the corners, because your corners are the best.
It takes some doing. It's not easy.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. God, I do have my calendar. Look at that. Oh, I don't have anyone next weekend, but the weekend after, I'm going to have on Taryn from the Summits in Ontario. She's on Vigil to be a Laurel, and mundanely she does patterning professionally. And she does really, really amazing soft kits. She actually fights in a chronic dress, like she does cut and thrust. And she's going to teach us how to make our soft kits look incredible and also really functional, like different ways to articulate joints so that they're more practical and they work with you and not against you. So that should be super fun. I'm looking forward to talking to her. So thank you so much, Kaz. I appreciate it. It's good to see your face, and I hope I see you soon. Maybe August. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.